Hello everyone, it's Taylor, and today I'm going to be doing a back-to-school book haul. So over the summer I read like 5 or 6 books, which was a good amount for me considering I haven't read anything in a while, any physical books. I have been getting a lot more into reading. I didn't have any summer homework this year, and I haven't had any schoolwork. I've had a lot of time to read at home and at work or whenever I'm free. So I went online at Barnes & Noble. They had a 50% off sale, and I went into Ollie's, which is like a bargain outlet store, and I got a bunch of books. So I'm going to show you guys the books that I got for the back-to-school season so far. I also have Wayward Son pre-ordered for September 23rd, and I have other books that I'm probably going to buy throughout the year. But here's what I'm starting out with. I have 7 books. So starting off with the ones from Barnes & Noble, the first book I have is The Chosen by Taran Matharu, I think is how you pronounce that name. This one's a Barnes & Noble special edition. It was in that 50% off sale, so I think this one was about $9.50. This book is about this kid. The main character in this book's name is Cade, and he lives in a town where when you go to the school, a bunch of kids start randomly disappearing. So in part of this book, him and a group of friends get sent back in time and end up in the prehistorical age where there's humans and dinosaurs and stuff like that. This one sounds really interesting to me because I don't think I've ever read anything like this. I don't really read a lot of time travel books, even though this still has a lot of fantasy elements to it, which is mostly what I read. I think it looks really interesting, and I do appreciate that the Barnes & Noble special editions have these bonus stuff in the back. So I have all the remnants and like the bonus content in the back of this book, which is always nice to have. Alright, the second book that I picked up from Barnes & Noble is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. And this one looks really good. I have not read any other Cassandra Clare books. I haven't read any of like the Mortal Instruments series or anything like that, and I'm pretty sure that the 2 main characters, Magnus and Alec, are from one of her other series because I have heard a lot about them online. So this is the first book in the Eldest Curses series, and it kind of reminded me of Carry On and Simon and Baz's story in Wayward Son, because it's about the 2 boys that are going on an adventure in Paris, and everything goes wrong. They end up being infested with demons. So that sounds really interesting to me because it has that fantasy element, but it also has like the adventure romance kind of part to it, which is nice. I always appreciate when there's a mix. I'm not a huge fan of one or the other. I always like when there's a mix of genres in there. Alright, and the next book that I have from Barnes & Noble is Crown of Feathers, which I feel like is a play on dragon riders. It has the classic trope of the dragon riders and the humans and the royal family are dueling each other. So basically this is about a girl that I can't really pronounce the name of. I think it's Avalkyra Ashfire and her sister Veronica, and their fight for the throne, and how the Phoenix Riders, which is what they are in this book, play a role in that fight. And the last book I got from Barnes & Noble is called Once and Future. This book is about a girl named Ari who ends up being the 42nd reincarnation of King Arthur, and Merlin doesn't really know what to do because she's the first girl who's ever pulled the sword out of the stone, and Ari doesn't want anything to do with it. And this book looks really interesting, and one of the main things that drew me to this book was actually the cover art, because it's incredibly beautiful. I love the pinks and the blues and the intricacies in the armor. It's really gorgeous. But obviously you can't judge a book by its cover. This does seem like a really interesting book, and I think I'll enjoy reading it. It says James Patterson presents, but there are 2 other authors on the cover. It says Amy Rose Capeta and Corin McCarthy. I'm not sure. They might be the artists, but it does say James Patterson presents, so I'm not 100% sure who the author of this book is. It might be all of them. I don't really know why James Patterson is on there. Maybe it's a play on one of his novels. And moving on to the books that I got from Ollie's, the first book I got is called Hit. And this book really didn't interest me at first because it is a romance novel, but it also has a little bit of a mystery element. I would not have picked this up, like, just thinking about it, but I'm going to give it a try because it might be interesting. It is a really short book, so I'll be able to do it really fast. This book is about a girl who goes to college and like has a crush on her student teacher. I know, it's really generic. But then he hits her with his car, and then she ends up in the hospital, and it's basically the story of when she's in the hospital. So it might be interesting. I'm going to see how I like it. I might hate it and stop reading it halfway through. but I might really like it, so you never know. Second book that I got from Ollie's is Arcana by Jessica Leake. I picked up this book mostly because of the name at first, and if you know me, you probably know why I picked it up. This is a story about a girl who lives in London in 1905, and her family is searching for suitors for her. But she also practices Arcana, which is a magic fueled by the power of the sun, and she has to hide that to protect her family and from the suitor that she chooses. But I do think this book looks really interesting, and I'm probably going to read it. It is pretty short, but it has a good amount of sophisticated vocabulary and small text, so it might take a bit longer. But also the cover art on this one is really beautiful because it's all matte, and I really enjoy the likeness of this. All of the books from Ollie's are really cheap. This one was $3.99, this one was $2.99, and the other one I got was $1.99 because they're all used. These two aren't very damaged. The other one has a bunch of like folds on the pages and the cover and everything. So the last book I picked out was Illuminati, which I saw in a Jessie the Reader video, I think. It was either a Jessie the Reader video or a Clockwork Reader video. But this book looked really interesting to me, mostly because of the way it's written and how every page has like a different style to it and how it's like put down on the page itself, which I always thought was really interesting, but also it has a very dystopian feel to it. It's about these kids. It's the year 2575, and Ezra and Caddy, that's their names, are exes, and that's a big plot line in the story, I guess. There's corporations that are taking over the planet, so there's a big war, and there's a plague that's breaking out, so they both have to work together to figure out how to survive. So this one, the mostly thing that I was drawn to was the different styles of the pages, but it does seem like a really interesting story, and hopefully it is quite long, but I don't think it should take that long because of the less complexity of the pages. Like, a lot of them are really spaced out. So those are all the books that I have for this back to school season. That's just a starter for now. I will be doing a video about the books that I read over the summer soon. Especially I'm going to do a separate video on Carry On because I love that book with my entire heart. So look forward to seeing that coming soon, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!